All right, well, we'll get started here. Kiera Hanselman, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Spencer. Thanks.
Nice to meet you. Nice to actually spend some time with you and sit down with you. But you are the Senior Director of Marketing for Vori Health, correct?
That is right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to talk to you about today, your role at the event. So we're at the Future of Business Benefits event hosted by True Captive. We're at Busch Stadium. We're no longer at Busch Stadium. We're next door at the Westin. But you are the MC of today's event.
Yes.
So great job, by the way.
Thank
Wanted
you.
to say that. And even Tanya mentioned that in the previous episode. The flow was fantastic. But walk to me through the process of being the MC of an event like that. What's the planning look like?
Well, so I kind of fell into this in 2020. I started emceeing some of the Health Rosetta events, and then it's kind of transpired. It differs for each event. Sometimes you get very little information. Sometimes you get a lot of information. Mm-hmm. So a lot of snooping around on people's LinkedIn, just kind of, putting your ear to the ground and hearing what's relevant, what people are struggling with right now, so you can kind of pepper in some relevant things. But other than that, it's just kind of getting to know the people who are going to be speaking, getting to know the people who are putting on the event and what's important for them to get across. And then a lot of looking at myself in the mirror saying, you can do this.
Yeah. A lot of self-pep talks,
yes.
For sure. But you say you kind of accidentally, or it happened, like, did you have intentions or ideas about wanting to do this? Or somebody just asked you one day, could you do it? And you just said yes? Or how did that happen?
Well, this story could take a lot of different paths, but I studied theater in college.
Okay.
When I realized I wasn't going to be able to make the kind of money that I wanted to make, at least initially, in that world, I was like, I got to get into sales. So I ended up getting into sales. But the way that the emceeing thing came about was in 2020, the Health Rosetta event was a virtual event. And they did this contest called Health Rosetta's Got Talent. And so they partnered everybody in these groups, and they were like, make a video elevator pitch, and then you're going to get judged.
Okay.
So I ended up recording our pitch and our group's pitch, and it was second place. Although, I don't know. I think that was a debatable...
Well, some bias introduced in there, maybe. You never know.
But the Health Rosetta crew really liked the video, and they said, we want you to MC the next virtual event, which turned into the next 2 live events. Mm-hmm. So that's... And
now all of a sudden you're the go-to MC in the benefits, world, I guess, or at least the conference world, which is fun. I mean, it's a very cool skill set to have. Without getting into too much of it, I used to do stand-up comedy in Dallas, and I was a regular...
That's impressive.
Regular MC, thank you. But I was a regular MC at a smaller venue there. So I had 2 shows on Saturday night, and the MC sometimes is a thankless job. Your job's to get everybody going, keep the show moving, but you're often working with a cold audience, and you're really supposed to just take sit on the grenade for everybody else.
Yep.
But it's also really, I think there's some transferable skills there, and it translates into sales, and just hosting events like this to make sure they go smoothly. You're really just helping out the venue, or you're helping out the people that are putting on the event have a good show, and you did your job. You did your job well. So the event itself, though, you did a really good job, like I said earlier, of peppering in some ideas, or you were listening well to say, oh, well, you said this a moment ago. Let me ask you about that. Was there anything in particular that maybe stood out to you, like, oh, I learned something, or this was something I'm going to take back and apply in my daily life? Yeah.
So I listen. I would say one of my skill sets is listening, and I really care about this stuff. So I want to hear what people are saying, and I also want to hear. To me, having been in this industry now since 2016, and having gone through this whole transformation process of understanding healthcare, health benefits, all of that. It's really important for me to be able to communicate to people who are still going through that process, who aren't quite there yet, to try to understand where they're coming from to help get them there. Because I think the biggest gaps that we have right now in moving this movement more quickly is lack of education or knowledge around what's going on in fear. And so what I saw today and what I heard today was there was a lot of brave, not only employer advocates and solution partners, but also employers, some small. I mean, there was one employer that had 24 employees.
I heard that, yeah.
There's no excuse, right? If a 24 employer group can do this, you can do this too. And so just seeing that bravery, and the room was full of other employers just really engaged in listening. That was powerful to me. That was what I took away. Like, these are people, this is growing. People are learning and they're getting interested about this.
Well, I think you're right. And that's always, last event we had in Oklahoma City, the client testimonial, Shine Solar, was one of the standout pieces of that conference as well. But I think what you're just describing, right, is the employers in the audience can envision themselves sitting in the seat that the employers were that were sharing their story. So that's why it's so powerful, is you strip away any filtering mechanisms between the broker, the vendor solution partners that are trying to sell their solutions. You go directly to the horse's mouth and you hear it absolutely from them. So that 24 Life group was amazing. And I don't know exactly what the makeup of their plan is, but if a 24 Life group can do it, then a 240 Life group can do it, or a 65 Life group can do it as well. And I loved having even the firefighters union on the panel.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool. But a couple, we're just going to wrap this up here. One closing thought or an idea or something that you're going to maybe take away now in your daily life that you really want people to be thinking about, or maybe something that you've learned in particular.
I really like Joel Goldberg's keynote.
Yeah.
And I think there's an underlying theme in all of it, and it's people. Like, the reason why we all do this is because we want to help. We want to help people. And whether that be helping them with their health benefits so that they have more, that they're spending less money, they're getting better care, whether that be you're spending time, mentoring someone or investing in their life, in whatever way that is, in whatever way you can invest more in other people. If we as human beings can get better at looking outward at how we can serve other people. Not that the self-work isn't important, but looking outward and how we can serve and help other people, I feel like we'll be able to accomplish so much more and be doing it for the right reasons.
The right reasons. I would say that you're bringing me into that. What's that shirt where you see like people over everything, or that mantra, like that, the people first and then everything else below it. So people over benefits or people over health insurance. It's the people at the end of the day. And that has been a theme throughout every single episode of the podcast as well. So I think you hit the nail on the head. Thanks so much for sitting down with me, and let's get on to the baseball game.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Awesome. Thanks, Kiera.
Thank you.
Bye.